Right now at 5, students at Missouri Southern get hands-on experience with a 300-piece West African art collection.
And some of us still under heat advisories as the dangerous heat continues, and some rain chances in the forecast. Look at that forecast coming up.
Plus, the search for an Arkansas teen continues.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Noe.
I'm Chris Warner. It is now Monday, August the 18th.
Nice.
A lot more kids heading back to school this week. Some not necessarily today, but over the next couple of days, we are getting back to class. We've got open houses in Joplin tonight. Oh boy, I'm not. So it's set up in a weird way, and I get it to a point, but at the same time, for parents like us with the 3 kids in the different grades, we've got to start with the open house at the middle school for 6th grade, then go to the elementary school for that one, because the oldest open house back at the middle school doesn't take place at the same time, so we got to drive back and forth. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun, a lot of driving out there this evening. I'm sure some of you are probably dealing with that same situation. They're kind of driving in weird ways this year, so get ready for that. And for those of you already back in school, be prepared for the heat. Let's start with that look outside downtown Pittsburgh. Skies are clear this morning. We're looking pretty good. It's of course fairly mild out there again. MoDOT camera 20th and range line in Joplin also looking good. So here's the what remains of our heat advisories. For parts of southwest Missouri, southeastern Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Now, the bulk of southeast Kansas is no longer under heat advisories, but again, that does not mean it is not going to be hot, and it doesn't mean you don't have to take precautions, because you absolutely do. On to the future track for today. It's a slight chance along and east of I-49 of a pop-up storm or two, roughly between about 2 and 6, maybe 2 and 7. That's really going to be about it for our rain chances today. Then there's some interesting information we'll cover about rain chances beyond that, or beyond today, here in a few more minutes. All right, look at that. 77 in Joplin, 75 in Pittsburgh, and around the region. These temperatures are very warm this morning. Bentonville looks to be the warm spot at 78. We've got some cooler spots, Parsons, Neodesha, and Sedan at 72 this morning. So some of us not too bad, but most of us mid to upper 70s. Kids heading out the door this morning, mid 70s. Clear skies. When it's time for lunch, we're looking at the mid-90s. And still sunny, though, but by this afternoon, we'll have those pop-up storm chances. And take a look at these temperatures by the time that bus starts to bring the kids home. 98 degrees. And I'm not talking about the old 90s boy band here. I'm talking about dangerous heat as they come home this afternoon. That's where our highs are headed, upper 90s. Heat index values for just about all of us still up to 105, maybe a little greater than that. And again, between about 2 and 6, we'll have some pop-up storm chances with the southwest breeze around 5 to 10 miles an hour. Our rain chances do increase a bit over the next couple of days. Like I said, there's some conflicting data on what kind of rain chances we'll have, and we'll break all that down for you here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, Missouri Southern has adopted a West African theme for its international studies majors this semester. Curators tell us students will have the opportunity to learn not only useful facts about the campus art museum, but also learn to connect with what they call one of the most vibrant regions in the world. KOAM's Lonnie Walton has the story.
Learn a lot about collection care, preservation.
Professor Christina Bentley is an art teacher at MSSU. She says international studies this semester will get a taste of West African culture. Bentley says the objects in this Cregan gallery are one of a kind.
Half of those objects were donated by the Finley family, and we also have objects that were donated by Marianne Keown, who was a missionary in Africa.
Bentley says this 300-piece artwork represents all kinds of occupations within Africa.
African figures in power, and that, I would say most of them start here and they end over in that section of the gallery. And then we've got female medical missionaries in West Africa.
These objects can't be left unkept.
Very careful, and the collections, we have humidity, temperature regulators. For example, in this space, we actually have like insect traps up where we're trying to monitor the humidity as best as we can in this space. Even though it's a temporary show, It still is not great for the objects to be exposed to high levels of humidity too long.
And high school students who visit will get a similar experience.
Do a collection care report on 2 objects. So they learn about the object, they learn about the collection.
It won't be long before students and the community will start building their knowledge of this year's theme culture. Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
The West African Culture class will feature a guest lecturer this semester. You can find more information by seeking it online. And of course, to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can always download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, in Arkansas, authorities are searching for a missing teen from Bradford. 17-year-old Hannah Osborne has been missing for days, and her parents are desperate for answers. Autumn Foltz has the latest.
She's beautiful. She's caring. She's got a big heart. Just beautiful on the inside and out.
Wesley and Crystal Osborne say their daughter, Hannah, is a smart girl with a wild spirit, and they desperately miss her.
She's a great person.
We just want our daughter back.
We would like to have her back home, but most importantly, I just need to know she's alive and okay.
Hannah was last seen around 7:40 Saturday night at her father's home near County Road 7. Wesley says she's constantly active on Snapchat, and that worries him.
She's had problems with being on that Snapchat and meeting people out of town and things, but Hannah has always came home. There were some vehicles spotted on my road that about the time that she left, that leads me to believe there might be some foul play, some drug activity around my neighborhood.
The family isn't sure which vehicle Hannah got into, if she did at all. They're just trying to follow up on all the leads. It's a process Colleen Nick with the Morgan Nick Foundation knows all too well. Her daughter was abducted in 1995, and she's made it her mission to raise awareness about missing children. Colleen says it's important for Hannah to know she's not in any trouble.
Anyone who knows her or might know where she is, we would love for them to pass that message along that we want to talk to Hannah and to know that she's okay, that she's safe, and that she has the resources that she needs.
Meanwhile, the family has been in direct contact with Jackson County authorities and state police, and they just want answers.
I'm not going to try to force her to come home. I just need to know she's okay. I just need to know she's alive. She's not being held against her will.
And that we love her.
And that we love her.
And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather coming up on the KOAM Morning News. European leaders show support as Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky prepares for a White House meeting, his first return since a heated February exchange. Plus, thousands of children in mental health crisis aren't getting the help they need. A new study finds kids are stuck in the ER for days. And extreme heat across the 4 states. Chris has a look at your weekly forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Time now, 5:08. We'll be right back. Well, topping Nation Watch this morning, the world is watching the White House. President Trump says he's honored to host Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, flanked by other European leaders, days after his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, no ceasefire agreement Friday, but over the weekend, the president seemed to put the ball in Zelensky's court. CBS News' Jared Hill has more from New York.
Today, a European show of support as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky prepares to meet with President Donald Trump in the Oval Office.
We are deciding what we are going to discuss in Washington.
It's Zelensky's first return to the White House since this heated exchange in February.
You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now.
This time, Zelensky is bringing backup in the push to end Russia's war with Ukraine. Last night, he posted on social media he hoped the joint strength will force Russia into a real peace. The sit-down comes after President Trump met with Russia's Vladimir Putin in Alaska Friday.
I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway.
Since the summit, President Trump has backed off his earlier push for a short-term ceasefire to foster negotiations. instead suggesting they go directly to a peace agreement. Zelensky disagrees.
It's impossible to do this under the pressure of weapons. So it's necessary to cease fire.
White House officials say the group today is expected to discuss solutions regarding territory taken by Russian forces.
There needs to be an agreement on territories and where the lines are going to be drawn.
Yesterday, Zelensky said that issue should only be discussed with Ukraine, Russia, and the U.S. all at the table. Jared Hill, CBS News.
A White House Special Envoy Steve Witkoff said in TV interviews yesterday that Putin had agreed to allow the U.S. and European allies to offer Ukraine NATO-like collective security guarantees. Zelensky welcomed the development, though he says the details are unclear. Last night, President Trump posted on social media there would be, quote, no going into NATO by Ukraine. Well, still to come, Scott McNairy stars in Fairyland, and Sofia Coppola produces the father-daughter drama hitting theaters October 10th. Plus, Chris has another look at your Monday forecast. Mamma Mia dances back to Broadway, a new movie trailer tugging at the heartstrings, and the release of never-before-heard music from rock and roll legends. Nick Zajovic has your eye on entertainment.
Get ready to laugh, cry, and dance in your seat. Mamma Mia has officially returned to Broadway at the Winter Garden Theater in New York, the very stage where it made history with a 14-year run. With timeless hits like Dancing Queen and Take a Chance on Me, it's bringing the same sun-soaked joy that's already captivated more than 70 million people worldwide and inspired blockbuster films. Tickets are on sale now through February 1st, 2026.
Daddy?
Scoot McNairy stars in a moving father-daughter drama produced by Sofia Coppola. Fairyland takes us from the bohemian glow of the 70s to the shadow of the AIDS crisis in the 80s, capturing all the beauty, heartbreak, and those moments that make family. Catch Fairyland in theaters October 10th.
I have a friend who is here tonight to make their Opry debut.
And he's sung with pop stars, rock legends, and some of the world's best musicians. But now, Elmo's traded Sesame Street for Music City. The Red Superstar made his grand ole Opry debut this week.
Oh, could Elmo really?
Coming prepared in a little blue cowboy hat and a bolo tie, no less, helping celebrate the Opry's 100th anniversary. That's your Eye on Entertainment. Nick Zajovic, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Let's take it over now to Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, we have got ourselves another dangerously hot day out there. Still some heat advisories continuing across the area as well. We'll break down those details for you and some of our rain chances on the way when the KOAM Morning News returns. Time now is 5:17. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:20 now on this Monday morning. We're starting the future track because there's at least some good news and there's also some of that which is traditional, it seems, conflicting news, but we'll go over all of that with you. First, with today, we're looking at partly cloudy skies. We'll start off with clear skies, then go partly cloudy. Again, between about 2 and 6, we'll have an opportunity for some isolated pop-up showers and storms. The better chances are going to be along and to the east of the I-49 corridor. So again, most of us will remain dry. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is another great example, though, of the different pieces of data we look at, because this one suggests that as early as 3 o'clock tomorrow morning, we could start getting some scattered showers and storms in. So what we've got is similar to what we've had here lately. The chances for severe weather have been staying up to our north. We've had some up there already from yesterday into early this morning, and we're probably going to have some more again overnight tonight. But this particular model believes that, see how it's moving kind of strangely? It's because some of this activity from the north may try and infiltrate our area. If that's the case, this would be really nice. We could use the cloud cover. We could certainly use the rain. But again, this is one computer's interpretation. Not all of them agree that that's going to take place. But we do have at least an opportunity for some scattered showers and storms out there. And then it believes maybe another round later in the day. But this is where it also gets interesting because this is what you're seeing here is one of those short-range computer models that we look at. And it runs out of time eventually. So you'll notice when we advance this into Wednesday, this rain suddenly vanishes. because again, this is one piece of data that thinks that we'll have some scattered storms again by tomorrow evening, wrapping up by the late evening hours, and then see how it just suddenly vanished, because that computer model only looks so far into the future. It's very short range, and it ran out of time. And there's no rain underneath it because we're not looking at additional rain chances out there with that activity. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, fingers crossed we actually do get the rain, because we certainly could use some. By the time we get into Wednesday, though, we do have additional opportunities for some isolated to widely scattered pop-up showers and storms. Our heat index values today, again, hence why there's still a number of heat advisories in place, going up around the 105, and some of us again flirting with 110, and that happens again tomorrow. Now, our heat advisories at this point, the ones that remain, will expire at 8 this evening. So we'll just see how that all plays out with the heat, but still could be potentially dangerously hot tomorrow, which is why it'd be great if we got some of that rain. Wednesday, still pretty toasty, but not as hot, and by Thursday, take a look at these heat index values. Not too bad at all. There's those heat advisories again, the ones that you see here that remain in place will run through 8 this evening, and then they will stop. So again, we do have our heat safety tips on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Just click on the forecast page. All right, clear skies expected through the morning, near 80 by 8 o'clock this morning, low 90s by 11 a.m. Our highs today proceeding into the upper 90s near 100, and again, you saw our heat index values with those isolated pop-up storm chances. Be mostly clear through the late evening and overnight, back into the mid 70s, and again, we'll see if those storm chances pan out. Of course, we still have Hurricane Aaron, winds 130, but again, some of the good news is while it is still a major hurricane, it is expected to continue to curve away from the coast, but could still cause issues with some rip currents and some high tide, especially if it drifts a little closer, say to North Carolina and Virginia, before it heads back out into the Atlantic, off to the southeast of Canada. All right, again, upper 90s near 100 today, tomorrow, and this is why our heat index values improve. Scattered storms possible Wednesday, low 90s, upper 80s, so not significantly below normal, but slightly better, and we'll continue with near normal or slightly below normal temperatures through the second half of this week and into next week. That's check your forecast. We're going to send it over to Elise now with Health Watch.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, new research about the long-term health impact of COVID-19. A study published in the European Heart Journal suggests COVID can age blood vessels, causing them to become stiffer and raising the risk of heart attack and stroke. The study found even people who had mild cases of COVID had stiffer blood vessels. Well, thousands of children facing a mental health crisis aren't getting the help they need. An Oregon Health and Science University study found many children who go to the ER for depression or attempted suicide end up stuck in the ER for days. Researchers say these children should be placed in inpatient care or an appropriate residential facility, but there's often no available room, highlighting the need for more resources. And people with the sensitive personalities are much more likely to face mental health problems like depression and anxiety. Research from Queen Mary University of London study defined sensitivity as someone who's more affected by things like bright lights, changes in the environment, or other people's moods. While sensitive people face higher levels of mental health issues, they also could get more benefit from relaxation and mindfulness exercises. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 5:30, Kid City Museum in Joplin holds back to school events. The new indoor playground opened just a few weeks ago.
And we've still got dangerous heat across the area, maybe an isolated pop-up storm or two. We'll have a look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, Fort Scott Community College kicks off Welcome Week. We'll take a look at some of the festivities.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:28. I'm Elise Noe.
I'm Chris Warner. It is Monday, August the 18th. And again, a number of kids heading back to school today, or at least in the next few days this week. I think just about everybody will be back in session before too much longer here. So hopefully you are ready and hopefully you are dressing in shorts, like summer-like weather.
Yes, absolutely.
We're going to be very hot the next couple of days. Let's start with that look outside downtown Pittsburgh. We've got got clear skies to start our day this morning. Not much really happening in our immediate area at this time, but we could get some pop-up storms later. MoDOT camera 20th and range line looking good as well. So here's our heat advisories. What's left of them here still continue through 8 this evening, and then these will be allowed to expire. Now, just because you're not under a heat advisory, again, does not mean it's not still dangerously hot out there. It just means at this point, the criteria for heat advisory is no longer being met. But still, you want to make sure you're taking precautions. Future track between about 2 and 6, really east of the I-49 corridor, will have an opportunity for an isolated pop-up shower or storm out there. That's really going to be about it. Maybe slightly better rain chances for tomorrow, but not really looking too promising today. Already well above average to start. 77 in Joplin, 75 in Pittsburgh. Keep in mind, average low this time of year about 69, 70. So well above that for many of us. We do have some folks in the low 70s. Like Cassville, Jay, Sedan, Parsons, but then you get into like Bentonville and Stockton where we're sitting at 78. Most of us are right around the mid to upper 70s. Kids getting on the bus this morning, it's going to be pretty mild, mid 70s out there, clear skies. By lunchtime and recess time, still sunny, still hot, mid 90s. And by the time the bus takes them home again, at least for some of us, perhaps an isolated pop-up storm or two, upper 90s out there. So we're still dealing with that dangerous heat index values today, rising up to 105, maybe a little higher than that. I get a few clouds by noon, and then we'll have the isolated storm chances again east of I-49 this afternoon. Upper 90s for our highs. At southwest breeze at 5 to 10. Again, there's some interesting information about some possible rain and storm chances tomorrow. We'll break that down for you and let you know how much longer this is going to last here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. So the Kid City Museum in Joplin held their back to school event over the weekend. The museum opened just a few weeks ago. The museum is an indoor playground that has STEM activities for kids. Now, the big activity over the weekend was slime making.
It's actually been really great. We've had a good turnout and a lot of support from the community.
I think it's important to get to know our business neighbors, and I came in here a couple weeks ago to see what Kid City Museum was about and got to know the owners and wanted to join the fun.
Now, teachers were able to get in for free with the photo ID. Fort Scott Community College is getting the school year kicked off with their welcome party. Events began with a cookout outside the Ellis Fine Arts Center and continue all week long. Orientation for students took place yesterday as well.
I would say to reach out to as many people as you can and make friends. Just go to every activity and sporting event to make more memories.
Once again, events continue for students all throughout the week, including a movie night and game night. Corn farmers in Kansas say that 2025 is shaping up to be a record year for their crop. Sophia Gernander spoke with farmers on what has made this year such a good one.
With the corn harvest approaching, farmers are starting to look at their crop. Doug Hiskin lives in Belle Plaine and has been farming for 40 years. But he says he's never seen a corn crop like this one.
Well, it's probably going to be the best crop ever.
The good news is a result of the heavy rains this spring and summer. While the rain did negatively affect other crops such as wheat, for the corn it was perfect timing.
With the corn, we were able to get it all done when it needed to be, and then the rain came at the different stages of growth. It just came at the right time for it.
Usually they're aiming for 100 bushels, but this year
we could be in the 150 range.
The rain wasn't a blessing for everyone. In Wellington, several farmers say they've had no crop at all due to not being able to plant.
They had in the 45, 47 inches of rain since Memorial Day, and we've only had like 35.
Hiskin also says he's worried about tariffs. While he says he supports them, he hopes the pause on tariffs will be extended past the harvest.
Mexico is one of our lead purchasers of corn. I think they're our largest export destination.
But overall, Hiskin is optimistic because while there were heavy rains, it resulted in a record year for corn. And he says he's looking forward to the harvest.
But this is probably going to be the best year because the rains were extremely timely, even though there was a lot of it, but it was always timely for the corn.
And of course, don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. You can get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. The KOAM Skywatch weather app. Well, the Stone County Fire Protection District used an underwater drone to help recover a teenager who drowned in Table Rock Lake on Thursday. Emma McDarris has more.
The underwater drone used by the Stone County Fire Protection District can show recovery teams what's below the water, take photos and video. The drone can also dive up to 300 feet, which means it can search the bottom of Table Rock Lake at any depth.
We got the drone, I'm trying to remember if it was last year or the year before, and what we got it for was specifically for looking for victims under the water. That was really the intent of why we got it, to take that risk out for divers.
Docks like these can be extremely dangerous to divers, as there might be loose cable or debris that's not been thrown away properly that could entrap a diver. This is why this past Thursday they used the underwater drone to pinpoint where the victim was so divers could go get him. The 16-year-old was playing at the Babe Ruth World Series at Show Me Baseball Parks, and when I reached out to them about the situation, they said they are deeply saddened by his loss, and they, as well as league officials, are working on how to support and comfort the Panama team and their families during this time.
This recovery system can speed up the process of finding victims, which is why Stone County Fire is encouraging more of its team to learn how to operate the drone.
We're trying to encourage anybody that's part of our Marine Division team to learn how to do it, and the best way we found is just put it in the water and use it.
And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Air Canada resumed some flights today. Flight attendants defying government's return to work order yesterday. Plus, U.S. Postal Service releases Jimmy Carter stamp this fall. It honors the 39th president who died at age 100. We'll have the latest time now, 5:36. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. In Consumer Watch, Canada's 3 largest airports were hit hard by cancellations and delays after Air Canada suspended flights over the weekend due to a flight attendant strike. The airline says it will resume some flights today after flight attendants defied the Canadian government's return to work order yesterday. More than 100,000 passengers have been stranded since the strike began Saturday. Air Canada says it's offering customers options, including full refunds, credit toward future travel, as well as rebooking services to other airlines. Well, horror flick Weapons sustained its top spot at the weekend box office, bringing in $25 million domestically. Freakier Friday was number 2 for the second week in a row with more than $14 million. An action sequel, Nobody 2, debuted third after pulling in more than $9 million. And the U.S. Postal Service announced it will release a stamp this fall to honor former President Jimmy Carter. The 39th president died last December at 100 years old. This stamp is set to be released on his birthday, October 1st. And that's a look at Consumer Watch this morning. Let's head over now to Chris for a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got clear skies to start the day for us out there. However, the dangerous heat hasn't let go of the region just yet. We're going to have a complete look at your forecast and break down some possible rain chances when the KOAM Morning News returns. Time now is 5:40.
Well, beef prices are already high, but if a certain pest gets into the country, they could go even higher. The latest on efforts to keep them out in today's AgDay Minute.
I'm Clinton Griffiths with today's AgDay Minute. USDA is taking additional steps to keep a deadly pest out of the country. Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins announcing the agency will build a domestic sterile fly production facility in Edinburgh, Texas. It's an effort to keep the New World screwworm out of the country. Now, that parasite has been spotted south of the border, just 370 miles from Texas. It attacks cattle and other livestock, killing them. Right now, the border remains closed to imports of cattle from Mexico, and there's concern it could raise food prices if it gets into the U.S. USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, serves an average of 41.7 million people. Now that adds up to more than 12% of the population. The Economic Research Service putting out this graphic showing participation by state. You can see Oregon, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Louisiana rely on the program the most. The agency says last year more than 21% of the population in New Mexico received SNAP benefits. And if you love apples, this could be your year. The U.S. apple forecast says, thanks to good weather, growers will ship 278.5 million bushels this year. That's up about 1.3% year over year. Now, much of the increase is due to varieties such as Honeycrisp and Cosmic Crisp. Meanwhile, USDA says the market should expect 290 million bushels. That would be up 6%. For more Ag News, watch Ag Day weekdays on the station or get updates over at agweb.com.
All right, let's take it over to Chris now for a full look at today's forecast.
Yeah, and we are still dealing with the dangerous heat today, and really it could continue into tomorrow, but our heat advisories will expire today. We'll go over that in a moment. First, on to the future track. Now, for our afternoon hours on Monday, we are looking at isolated pop-up storm chances, really along and east of the I-49 corridor. Remember, pop-up storms, it may not necessarily be all into Berry County, but it's just signaling the better chances are off to the east. Now, here's where it gets a little more interesting, and what I mean by interesting is some of the data is suggesting that by tomorrow morning, about 3 o'clock or so, we get some thunderstorms starting to push into the area. Other data says, no, that's not going to happen. And this goes back to something that we had happen with us a week or so ago, where we've had severe weather. Really, over the past 2 or 3 weeks, it seems all the main severe threats have been up to our north. This is another one of those instances where at least some of the data suggests some of those storms, you can see the outflow boundary here, by 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, could make it into our area. Would they be severe by the time they got here? Not very likely. Would there be this many of them if they made it down here? Probably not either, but there is at least an opportunity early tomorrow morning for some scattered showers and storms, but the chance is iffy at this point. So we'll continue to monitor it, and of course, if it looks a little more likely that some of these showers and storms will survive into our area tomorrow morning, we will certainly let you know. But kind of just a heads up, again, I know a lot of kids going back to school progressively this week, so just be prepared for the possibility of some showers and storms tomorrow morning. Then future track again suggesting instead of just widely scattered storms, by the afternoon we actually get another round of still scattered storms, but a few more of them as we go into the late afternoon and late evening hours really on our Tuesday. Again, we'll have to see how it pans out. We know at this point we are looking at scattered storm chances tomorrow. It's just a question as to whether or not they'll be as widespread as this particular computer model is suggesting. And when I say that, this is one of the ones that is very short term. It only goes out a little bit at a time, which is why as it goes into tomorrow morning, see, all of that rain suddenly vanishes, because that's one of the computer models that thinks we'll have those showers and storms, but the other one we use on Future Track doesn't think that. So that's why we got to watch that. Then as we head into our Wednesday afternoon, it'll be another fun situation of just some isolated pop-up showers and thunderstorms out there for our Wednesday. As for the heat index values, today, again, up to 105, a little further west, maybe a little higher than that. That should continue, unfortunately. I'm not saying it like I want it to continue. I'm simply saying it is likely to continue into at least tomorrow. Then once we get beyond Tuesday, it's still pretty muggy, still pretty uncomfortable out there. 100, maybe up to 105 heat index values Wednesday. But take a look at Thursday. Still hot, still a bit muggy, but considerably more manageable on those heat index values. And again, our heat advisories, the ones that are left, expired 8 this evening. And as we showed you on the heat index map, just because you're not under a heat advisory does not mean that it is any safer. You still need to take precautions, make sure you're staying hydrated and staying indoors where you can. And of course, for all those great heat safety tips, again, through this extreme heat, they're on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com/forecast. All right, so we're expecting clear skies through the morning, near 80 by 8, low 90s by 11 o'clock this morning. Into the afternoon we go, our highs upper 90s, near 100, and of course those heat index values at least to 105 with the southwest breeze 5 to 10. Any pop-up storm chances we have should be between about 2 and 6, and we'll have just a few clouds by late evening and overnight, still well above average, mid-70s. And then we've got major Hurricane Aaron out here right now, Category 4 storm. Winds are at 130 miles an hour. So again, some of the good news that's continuing, at least in terms of any kind of landfall, Hurricane Aaron still expected to remain offshore from the United States, but it could get close enough. There are concerns over rip currents and maybe some higher tides all the way from Florida back up into the Carolinas, Virginia as well, because it could get close enough that it could cause some issues out there as it passes by, and then eventually heads back into the Atlantic and stays off the coast of Canada. So we should be okay. We're not looking at a U.S. landfall with Aaron, which is great news, but still could cause some issues for some coastal areas as it gets somewhat close to the U.S. All right, upper 90s today, tomorrow, low 90s on Wednesday, and then we go upper 80s. It's not cool, but that's better. Partly cloudy on Thursday. We'll hang out near or even slightly below average, though, the second half of next week into the start of next week. So again, just one couple more days, really, of this unpleasant heat to get through, and then we'll be home free for a little while. That is a check of your forecast. We're going to send it over to Elise now with sports.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, in Major League Baseball, the Royals and Cardinals were looking to close out their weekend series with wins. The Royals could sweep with the White Sox with the win, but in the first inning, Lenyn Sosa launches one deep to left and gone to put that White Sox on the board. And White Sox starting pitcher Davis Martin is dealing. He pitches 6 scoreless frames, punching out 4 Royals in the process. We head to the 7th. Chicago leads 2-0, and with 2 outs, Jonathan India crushes a 2-run bomb to tie this one up. Then in the 8th, with a man on second, Michael Garcia finds the hole in the infield as the Royals take the 3-2 lead. And later in the inning, Adam Frazier tacks on a 2-run homer for good measure. Kansas City sweeps the White Sox with a 6-2 win. And the Cardinals look to avoid getting swept by the Yankees. In the 4th, they trail 3-0, but have 2 runners on with 2 outs. Thomas, the JC, lines one to right, and Cody Bellinger misplays it, and it goes over his head, and St. Louis plates 2 runs. It's 3-2. Then in the 5th, Alec Burleson drops one into right field with a man on second. Lars Nootbaar speeds home to tie this one up. Next inning, Yoel Pozo gets a hold of one, and the Redbirds take the 4-3 lead with his solo shot. But in the 9th, the Yankees tied up and load the bases. Cody Bellinger makes up for his earlier mistake and finds a hole through the infield as New York takes a 2-run lead. And the Yankees go on to win 8-4, completing the sweep of the Cardinals. On the PGA Tour, the league's best golfers close out the final round of the BMW Championship. And that guy right there, Robert McIntyre, comes into the day with a 4-stroke lead, but he has the number one golfer in the world, Scottie Scheffler, right behind him. And by hole 7, they're already tied, and Scheffler's approach shot is a beautiful one, setting him up for a birdie putt a few feet away, which he nails to take the lead. We had a hole 17 where Scheffler still leads by just 1 stroke. He's in the rough for the birdie shot, but his chip shot just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling, and after a while it goes in as Scheffler takes the 2-stroke lead. And Scheffler closes this one out to take the crown in the BMW Championship. That's a look at sports this morning. Stick around. We'll be right back. Well, 24 new CASA volunteers were sworn in this week to advocate for children in Texas's welfare system. The group took their oath in San Antonio, led by Judge Charles Montemayor of the Bexar County Children's Court. CASA Child Advocates San Antonio trains volunteers to stand up for the best interests of vulnerable children in need. And the Chicago Air and Water Show returned over the weekend, along with the lakefront, with North Avenue Beach as the show's center. Headliners included the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds, the Army Golden Knights, and multiple military and civilian performers. Chicago native Taylor Amon sang the national anthem both days, fulfilling a childhood dream.
Very impressive there. A great opportunity, really, with how hot it's been just across the Midwest to get out there and maybe enjoy the lake a little bit and enjoy an impressive air show, which is always a lot of fun. And what is not a lot of fun is these numbers. You know, if it stopped here that wouldn't be so bad. But it's not going to stop there, unfortunately. It will continue to heat up. We have clear skies as we head through the morning hours. We're going to start about 80, low 90s by 11 a.m. Into the afternoon, our highs into the upper 90s near 100. Heat index values up to at least 105, maybe a little higher than that. So we do still have some heat advisories through 8 this evening. But as we've mentioned, even if you're not under a heat advisory, that doesn't make it any safer. As we talked about last week too, there's not a safe 110 degree heat index and an unsafe 110 degree heat index. It's unsafe across the board. So make sure you're staying hydrated. Well, southwest winds 5 to 10 could get an isolated pop-up storm between 2 and 6 along and east of the I-49 corridor. Most of us will be dry. We'll have mostly clear skies through the evening and overnight, but there are at least some indications that maybe we could get some scattered storms overnight. So we're going to have to watch this closely. Right now, the indications aren't all that fantastic, so that's why we're going with mostly clear, but that could potentially change. Back in mid-70s, we got Category 4 Hurricane Aaron out there as well. Wind still 130 miles an hour, and you can still see that well-defined eye wall out there. Still a major hurricane, still expected to remain a major hurricane through at least tomorrow morning before it starts to weaken just a hair. The good news is, again, the track is taking it close to the east coast, but eventually sending it back out into the Atlantic. So not expected to make landfall, but from Florida through Georgia, the Carolinas, and into Virginia, there are concerns about riptide risk. So if anybody's heading out there, maybe you're taking that one last trip before school starts. Maybe your school starts a little later this year. Just be aware of that. Or if you got friends, family out there, just be aware of that for them as well. But again, it will continue to track off back into the Atlantic as we head into the rest of this week, eventually landing southeast of Canada. So some good news there. As for us, though, again, upper 90s today, tomorrow, low 90s Wednesday. Got our scattered storm chances tomorrow and Wednesday. And the temperatures at or even a hair below normal for the second half of this week. That's checking your forecast. We're back with more right after this.